Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the topic Open Book Exam from the subject Assessment of Learning, Unit 5. These are the learning objectives of today's topic Open Book Exam. You will be able to understand the concept of Open Book Exam. Why do people prefer Open Book exams? Why people are preferring Open Book exam in comparison to closed book exam? Type of open book examination. What are the different type of open book examination? What kind of material can be used? What kind of material can be used for the open book exams? Kind of questions in an open book exam. What are the different kinds of questions that can be used in an open book exam? Ways of designing open book exam questions. Different ways of designing open book exam questions. Challenges. What are the challenges? Misconceptions, advantages and disadvantages of open book exam. Now, open book exams allows you to take notes, text, or resource material into an examination situation. Now, what is an open book exam? We are talking about a traditional method of examination system where you go to a exam hall and you have to give the examination. But when we are talking about the open book exam, it's allowed the learners or the students to take notes, text, or other resource material along with him in the examination situation. They test your ability to find and apply information. Means they are not focusing on memorization of the things. They test your abilities. Means the open book exam test your abilities to find and apply information and knowledge are often used in subjects requiring direct reference to written material in law, statutes, statistics, or acts of parliament. Why use them? Why we have to use open book exam? The main premise of for open book exam that the teacher can devise questions that require students to answer in more critical and analytic way. Means when the teacher are framing questions for the open book exam, they are more focused or they will encourage the students the critical and analytic thinking. It will encourage their critical and analytic thinking and also encourage for the higher order thinking skills. So that's why we are saying that open book exams has to be used by the teachers in comparison to the closed form exams that require students to answer in more critical and analytic way. Means the way of presenting the answers when the open book exams, it's in a more critical and analytic way, and thus encouraging higher order thinking skills in their students, and it's encourage higher order thinking skills in the students. Open book exam places the focus on higher level thinking. Means it's in giving importance to the higher level learning because open book exams do not have the same emphasis on memorization. Means open book examinations are not giving importance to memorization as it was given in the closed form or the traditional form of examination. Questions can move up to Bloom taxonomy of educational objectives and ask students to analyze. Means they are focusing on the questions which encourage the students to analyze the facts or the information, evaluate them, or synthesize knowledge rather than just remember it. Means they are not focusing on memorization only. Open book examination was firstly introduced in Hong Kong. In which country it was introduced for the first time? It was introduced in Hong Kong in 1935. So it's not a new concept. To test students' mastery of knowledge on how well they are able to apply theories to new information. And that test, open book examination, was used or introduced in Hong Kong to test this knowledge of the student, mastery of knowledge of the students on how well they can apply the theories to the new information that was given to them. It's encouraged thinking at higher cognitive level. It encouraged the thinking level of the students at the higher cognitive levels rather than in a spoon feed style. In a spoon feed style where the focus is only on the teacher and the teacher is at the center. This type of evaluation is practiced at the university level. Means which type of practice? Open book examination was practiced at the university level, not at the school level. Tuzik in 1951 found that the open book examination removed much of the fear and emotional blocks. Means the fear of examination. It removes the fear of examination among the learners and the students, and emotional block and encountered by students, and emotional blocks that was encountered by the students when we are taking the traditional examination. During examination, while at the same time it emphasizes practical problem and reasoning rather than recall facts. Means it is not focusing on memorization, it is giving importance to the practical problem and the reasoning abilities of the students. Why do people prefer open book exams? Means why people are preferring open book exams in comparison to the traditional or the closed book exams. Most people find open book test less stressful than closed book test. Now, when we ask about the student about the examination, they generally got tense. They got that stressful situations. So when we are using the open book test examination, they are less stressful. Open book questions can emphasize problem solving, means it gives importance to those questions which are framed on the problem solving, creativity, or deep knowledge rather than simple recall of facts, rather than memorization or recalling of the facts. Open book exams reflect real life more accurately than closed book exam. Means they are giving more reflection to the real life than the closed form book exams. Illustrin and Beltran in 2000 argued that an open book exams encourages greater engagement and improves understanding of course material. Now, what is that? Greater engagement of the learner in the practice or in the doing of the test or the exams, and improve understanding, and it's improve the understanding of the learner related to the subject material. Filler in 1994 further suggested that the open book exam is superior to closed book exam as it's more realistic, similar to problem solving situation. And in 1994, Filler also suggested that open book exams are superior than the closed book exams. Now, nature of open book examination. The practice is not uncommon in many examinations. Means the practice of open book examination. It is ideally suited to programs that specially aims at developing the skills of critical and creative thinking. Means open book examinations are giving emphasis for the development of skills that are critical thinking and the creative thinking among the learners. It is broadest sense. An open books exam allows students to consult some form of reference material in the course of completing the exam. Now, what is that? The students have given the opportunity to take along with them some reference material or the textbooks, and they can refer these reference materials or the textbooks to complete the exams. Examinees are allowed to consult their class notes. Means those people who are giving the exams are allowed to consult their class notes, textbooks, and other approved material while preparing the answers to the questions. While a closed book exam places a premium on accurate and extensive recall, means it is focusing on memorization and how you are recalling that information that you have memorized. And its assessment of student knowledge is likely to be dominated by that ability. And an assessment of students' knowledge means when we are uh, telling upon using the closed form or the traditional form, we are assessing the student's knowledge on the basis of how they are recalling the information. A student's knowledge is likely to be dominated by that ability, means the ability of recalling the information. Open book exams and closed books exams have different pedagogical aims. Now, type of open book examination. What are the different types of open book examination? The first one is restricted type. Now, what is a restricted type? And the second one is unrestricted type. Now, we will explain. Restricted type. Students are permitted to bring into the examination room one or more specific documents approved by the course instructor. What it means that you are allowed to take along with you some specific textbooks or the reference material for completing the exam. But that reference material or the books or the specified documents should be approved by the course instructor, that we are bringing along with them these textbooks or these reference material or these documents to the examination room. Students may be permitted to consult printed documents, means they can take the printed documents along with them, such as the logarithmic tables, dictionaries, or complete work of course content, but no handwritten material or printing material documents which have not had prior approval. Means you are allowed to take any material, any specific material, but that material should be approved by the course instructor, but no handwritten material. You cannot take any handwritten material in the examination hall or the printed documents which have not prior approval. Now, what is meant that you can take the printed documents along with you, but you cannot take those printing materials along with you which have not been priorly approved by the course instructor. The approved document function more or less as appendix to the question paper itself. Now, unrestricted type. Students are free to bring whatever they like. Means they don't have to take approval from anyone to take the material along with you. Students are free to bring whatever they like. It can be a textbook, reference material, printed documents, anything. They are free to take anything along with them in the examination hall. They may bring any books, lectures, handouts of the course instructor, or their own handwritten notes. Means when we are talking about the restricted type, we have to take the permission from the course instructor, and handwritten notes are not allowed in the restricted type of open book exam. But when we are talking about the unrestricted type of open book exam, means you can bring any books, lecture handouts of the course instructor, or your own notes which has been written by yourself only. The use of self-examination presumes certain teaching strategies and type of question. Means when we are using the open book exam in an unstructured type, it presumes certain teaching strategies, that these are the teaching strategies that should be employed by the teacher while uh, while giving teaching learning process, and when the teacher has the knowledge that the student has to give the open book exam at the end. And type of questions, and these can be the different type of questions that can be framed at the open book exam. In particular, it demands that the course focusing on a set of intellectual skills, means we are focusing on the intellectual skills of the learner rather than on the information content, and rather on the what type of informations do the learners have, and that no content based questions be asked in the examination. Now, open book exam usually comes in two forms: traditional sit-down, limited type exam with varying degrees of access to resources and references. Now, what is that? The open book exams are also have two forms. The first form is that the traditional sit-down, means you go in the examination hall and you sit there, you have a limited time period, that duration, that you have to complete your paper in that particular duration, with varying degree of access to resources and references. And you can access to resources materials in a different, you have given a varying degree of access, that you can use these references, resources and textbooks in this much level only. Take home exam. The second form is take home exam. Means a teacher will give you examination paper or related to the open book exam, and you had to go to the home where you will sit and write down the answers which are being asked in the open book exam. Take home exams. Open book exams you do at home. Means the second form is that where you are allowed to go at the home and do your home exams. Questions are handed out. Means the teacher will give the questions to the students. Answers are attempted without help from others, and it is expected from the learners that they will attempt the answers without taking help of other individual, and the exam is written with a specified period of time, often the next day. And after completing the paper, you have to deposit, you have to submit the answer sheet to the course instructor. What kind of questions will an open book exam have? Means what type of questions can be asked by the teacher when he is using open book exam for assessing your performances. Open book exam tests the ability to find and use information for problem solving. How you are finding that particular information, means a question will be there and you have to find out the information related to that one, and use information, and not only to finding out that information and use information, and you have to use that particular information for problem solving, and to deliver well structured and well presented argument and solution. Means you have to give your answers in a proper manner, and the answers to be delivered in a well structured and well presented arguments, and these are the solutions related to that problem. Open book exam questions usually require to apply knowledge, means where the application of knowledge must be there, and there must be essay style questions, means where there can be a long questions where you have to give the answers in 400 to 500 words, or involve problem solving, or involving those questions will encourage the students to solve the problem, or delivering solutions, or they come up with some solution to a problem. The style of questions depends on the faculty or school setting the examination. Means the what type of question should be there, what type of question should be included in the paper. It's all depends on the faculty who is designing or preparing the question paper, or school setting the examination, or which type of setting is required in the paper by the school system for setting the exam. What are the rules and regulations set by the schools for setting the exams? Now, material used in open book exam. What are the different materials that are used in open book exam? The first one, the material you can take into an open book exam can vary. Means it can be anything which you can take to the examination hall. Some restrict the type of material, example, formula sheets and tables, or a limited number of texts. But some examinations, so open book examination, are restricted the material to be used, or to be used by the students at the time of giving the exams. Other may be totally unrestricted, any quantity or any material, or it can be an unrestricted form where you can take any material, any textbook, any reference material, handwritten notes, you can take anything along with you for giving the exams. Material might be your notes, the material which you can take for the exam. It can be the notes which you have prepared yourself only. Reading reference material or textbooks. It can be a reading textbooks, reading material, or the reference material. Equipments like calculator, drafting tools, etc. You are free to take the calculators or the drafting tools along with them at the time of examination. Material used in take home examination are usually unrestricted, means the material that will be used by the student while they are giving take home exams in open book exam. They can use an unrestricted material for completing their paper. Check your course guide or with your lecturer to find out what you can use. Now, you can consult your instructors or the teachers or the lecturers that what type of material can be used to give the exam. The main restriction for take home exam is that they must be your work. You must attempt them by yourself without any help from others. Now, what is the main purpose of taking the take-home exam is that only those persons you are allowed to take the exam without the help of other people. Means you are free to use any reference material, textbooks, or the any notes when you are giving a take home exam in an open book exam, but the first and the last condition is that you cannot take the help of other people. Now, consideration when designing open book exam. Now, what things should be considered, what things should be keep in mind when you are designing an open book exam. The first one is questions in open book exam need to be diverse to assess the interpretation and application of knowledge, how they are interpreting the information and how they are applying that knowledge. Comprehension skills is the understanding skills and the critical thinking skills. Means questions should be based on how they can apply the knowledge, what they have understood, and it uh, encourages critical thinking among the learners. Make use of case based exam question that require students to apply critical reasoning skills in responses to a trigger scenario. Means you can give them a case and the student has to go through the case and the student will give the answers by critically thinking that can be done, that can be the answer to that particular case. Devise a clear and unambiguous questions to limit students' confusion. Means the questions language should be clear and number of questions should not be that the students got the confusion. Uh, Questions to limit students' confusion and time span interpreting the question and how much time will be given to the students for interpreting the question so students can spend their time making use of their textbook or memory aid to effectively answer the questions. Devise questions that require students to apply the application of the knowledge and make use of the information from their textbooks or notes rather than simply requiring them to locate and rewrite this information. Means we are focusing on that the students will have the uh, skill of applying the knowledge and make use of the information from their textbooks, that how can he use the information that is available in the textbooks or the notes or in the reference books rather than simply requiring them to locate and rewrite that information. It is not that I have got this information, I located that information that was asked by me and rewrite this information. No, this is not the basis of the open book exam. We are focusing on developing the critical reasoning and the application of knowledge when we are using the open book exam for this for assessing the knowledge of the learners or the students. Design your questions and overall exam papers with the learning outcome. That these are the learning outcomes that we want to achieve through this assessment. Now, design your questions and overall exam paper with the learning outcomes in mind. What skills and knowledge are you assessing? Means when the teacher is going to teach a topic, it has some objectives, and when we are assessing the uh, objectives, how much you have learned, and that knowledge or understanding about the objectives is related to the learning outcomes in mind. Means when a teacher is assessing the performance of the learner while taking open book exam, the teacher must consider what are the learning outcomes of the learner. Challenges of open book exam. Now, what are the different challenges uh, while framing or using the open book exam? The first one is setting open book examination question. Now, this is the biggest challenge for the teacher, as they have to set the question paper for open book exams, as the questions are made or designed in such a way that it will arise critical thinking, higher level cognitive learning, and not based on the memorization of the student recall and recognizing the information. So, setting up a question paper for open book exam, it's a biggest challenge for the teacher. Knowledge of the basis facts still important. Means we are saying that when we are talking about the open book exam, it is focusing on application of the knowledge, critical thinking, uh, creative thinking. But when we are talking of the open book exam, we cannot uh, say that there is no importance of questions which are based on the knowledge of the basic facts. That facts should be known by the learner. The need for practice, it needs the practice. Direct reading and extended reading habits, and we have to develop in them the direct reading and extended reading habits when the student has to give the open book exam. The open book exam, the literature, the open book examination is, of course, not a new form of assessment, as we learned in the previous slide that it was the concept that was used in Hong Kong in 1935 only. John Francis, 1982, reviewed the literature dealing with its effectiveness. Now, how effective it is means many researches has been done in the open book exam, and John Francis reviewed the literature dealing with the effectiveness, whether open book exam is an effective or not, based on the researches which has been done in the area of open book exam. He found that student results were consistent over a wide spectrum of skills in different subjects area. Generally, he found that the advantages of open book, students relied less on rote learning, means memorization is not there. Their anxiety about an examination was reduced, means the anxiety level of the students was reduced when they are given the choice of open book exam in comparison to the traditional exams which have been taken. Factual knowledge was still learned, and they have also learned the factual knowledge related to the content or the subject matter. Learning occurred during the exam, and this is the most important thing, that the student is also learning while he is giving a exam. Now, misconceptions about open book exam. What are the different misconceptions related to the open book exam? The first one is open book exams are a breeze. Open book exams are not an easy option. Answering the question will well require more than just copying information straight from the test. Means it's not an easy exam. When we are saying that it is reducing the anxiety, but not an easy option for giving the exam, because the answering the questions will require not more than just that you have copied the particular information from the textbooks to your answer sheets. You don't have to study. And second misconception is that when we are taking open book exam, then there is no need of study. Probably the biggest misconception about open book exam is that there is no need to study anything, that you do not have to study. However, you should study just as you would for any other exam. But what they are saying, that open book exam, and when you are giving an exam through open book exam, you have to study as you are studying for any other exam. This means you must fully understand and be familiar with the content, means the subject and material of your courses, so that you can find and use the appropriate information. What is that? There is so much information available in the textbooks, in the reference book, and the handouts given by the course instructor or the teacher. You must be fully understand and familiar with the content. It is possible only when you go through the content, you have studied that content. In open book exam, you need to quickly find the relevant information as there is a time limit. So you have to quickly find out the relevant information or the important information in the resources you have. If you do not study, you won't be able to, you won't know where it is. And when you are not studying for the examination, then what will happen? You won't be able to find out which type of information will be available there. Now, the third one, you can't just copy straight from the book, because the question papers that are designed for the open books are uh, focused on the critical and the analytic thinking of the learners. So, it is not only that you copy the information from the textbook to your answer sheets. You cannot copy chunks of text directly from the textbooks or notes. This is plagiarism. This is comes under the plagiarism, that you do not copy each and every word from the textbooks or the notes available to you. So you are expected to do more than just reproduce them. So as a learner, as an examinee, you have to do more than just reproducing the information that is available in the textbooks or the notes that are available to you. You must be able to find, interpret, and apply the information in your sources to the examination questions. You usually need to reference as well, just as you would for any other assignment. The more material are, the better. Another misconception is that uh, if you are going for the examination and it's an open book exam, then take as much as material you can take to the examination hall. Don't get carried away and overload with material and resources in the exam. And what they are saying, then don't take so much of reference material, books or content and resources in the exam. Only take what you need. Only select those reference material textbooks that are needed by you. Stacks of books won't necessarily guarantee your performance. Means lot of books won't necessarily guarantee that you will perform very well in the exam, and you won't have time for extensive reading. Too many material can end up distracting you and crowding up your workspace. Carefully select your material and organize them for quick references. Means carefully select the material, that these are the material that will be needed by me, and organize them, and organize the whole material in such a way that you can quickly refer these references. Now, what are the different advantages of taking open book exam? The first one is availability of reference material allow more freedom and flexibility in constructing exam questions. Now, availability of reference material means there are so much of a reference material from which a teacher can make a question paper. Availability of reference material that's are available allow more freedom and flexibility in constructing exam questions, and that availability of reference material allows or give freedom and flexibility to the teacher in constructing or in framing the questions. Emphasize higher order thinking, de-emphasize cramming or rote memorization. And the second and the biggest advantage is that it de-emphasize cramming or rote memorization of the learner and is giving emphasis or importance to the higher order skills. Broader in scope. The scope of open book exam is very wide. Student can call upon more information than they could have ever been expected to memorize. Means the student will refer to many textbooks or the reference material or the resource material, and that will help could have ever been expected to memorize. Questions can be longer, it can be a essay type question, or more involved and require student to integrate information from multiple sources or type. And these questions can be a long question, and these questions can involve and require students to integrate information, all the information that is available from multiple sources or type. Exams can address a great variety of subjects and learning objectives. Permits more realistic exam questions, easier to include multi-steps problems, can contribute or extend work done in assessment, encourage students to develop new learning strategies to ensure their success. Means the learning strategies cannot be same for the student when the student is opting for open book exam or the closed book exam. When the student is opting for open book exam, then he has to develop new learning strategy so that he or she may get the success. Enhancing information retrieval skills, how you can recall or retrieve the information that is there. Places greater focuses on knowing how to use information, and it's giving importance on knowing how to use information means how you can use that particular information. Now, disadvantages. Student may place too much emphasis on their reference material. Now, what is that? The students, while giving examination on open book exam, they are giving emphasis, they are giving importance on the reference material that is available to them. Students may believe that they do not need to study, and that is important. That they think that there is no need for studying when there will be open book exam. As much or may underestimate how long it will take time to locate the information in their reference material. First thing is that they do not study. Second thing is that they underestimate that it will not take too much time to locate for the information. Student workload may be increased. Why? They have to select the reference material, they have to create the reference material, the notes for themselves. Student workload may be increased by the need to create reference material before exam. They have to create reference material before going to give the exams. Instructor workload may be increased. It's not only the workload of the student will increase, the instructor workload may be increased. If it's necessary to police the material that is used in the exam, means they have to think that this is the necessary info material that can be used by the learner in the exam. Depending on the reference material being used, that these are the different reference material that can be used by the learner at the time of giving the examination. Limited desk space may be a problem. The reference material may not be available to all students. That is important. That sometimes if we face the problem that all the students do not have the reference material, or they do not want to purchase those reference material as they are not useful for them. They think that is not useful for them in the future, such as an expensive textbook. Sometimes the cost is so high that they don't want to purchase that textbook or the reference material that all students may not have purchased. Several type of questions that would be accepted in a closed book exam will not be working on an open book exam. Means there is a limitation of choice related to the framing of the questions when we are framing questions on open book exam. Sometimes students may spend too much time on finding out which parts of the book to look for answer instead of applying the knowledge, practical skills, and reasoning ability. But what is that? That the student are spending maximum time for searching out the information or for looking for the answers from the books, and they are not focusing of instead of applying the knowledge, how to apply the knowledge, practical skills, and the reasoning abilities. A lot of students are unfamiliar with open book examinations. They are not familiar with the procedure of open book exam. They must be provided with clear procedure and rules, and before the teacher has decided that he or she will take the open book exam, then she must use clear procedures and rules must be provided by him to the students. Main issues that arise when making use of open book is that teacher may not know how to develop and devise effective exam question. Uh, it's sometimes the teacher may not have the knowledge how to develop effective questions for the open book exam. That requires students to apply their knowledge through analysis and critical thinking, and that required what knowledge through that the student analysis and critical thinking, that how the question should be framed so that it gives the students to apply their knowledge through analysis and critical thinking. And student may be lured into false sense of security and fail to properly prepare for an open book exam, and what will happen in the end, that they fail to properly prepare for the examination. Now, today we have discussed about the concept of open book exam, misconceptions about the open book exam, how open book exams are different from the traditional book exam, what are the different type of uh, open book exam, nature of open book exam. For further reading on this particular topic, you can refer these references. Now let us discuss some MCQs related to the topic which we have discussed today. The first one is the main premises for dash exam is that teacher can diverse questions that require students to answer in more critical and analytic way, which is the examination system which gives the opportunity to the teachers so that they can frame questions in such a way that it will involve critical or analytic thinking of the students. A options are A open book, B entrance, C semester, or the D annual. So the correct answer is option A, that is open book exam. Second one is open book exam places the focus on dash learning. A options are A higher level, B lower level, C fixed level, or the D regional level. So the correct answer is higher level. Means open book exam places the focusing on higher order learning. Now the third one is open book exam reflect dash more accurately than closed book exam, means the traditional form of examination. A real life, B picture life, C life, or the D Google life, which is the important area on which the open book exams are reflecting, and the correct answer is option A, that is real life. Fourth one is dash exam. Test the ability to find the information. Use information means you are using the information First, you will find the information, then you will use the information for problem solving, and that information will be used by you to solve the problem and to deliver well structured and well presented arguments and solutions related to that particular task. The options are A. Open book, B. Closed exam, C. Semester exam, or the D. Annual exam. So the correct answer is open book exams are the exam that test the ability to find and use information for problem solving. Now the fifth one, open book exam questions usually require to apply dash, and they may be essay style questions or involve problem solving questions or delivering solutions. Options are A. Knowledge, B. Comprehension, C. Application, or the D. Skills. So the correct answer is option A, that is knowledge. In open book exam, dash workload may be increased by the need to create reference material before exam. Whose workload will be increased when we are using the open book exams? Now, the options are A, whether the workload of the student will increase, B, group, C, teacher workload will increase, or the D, leader. Now, these are the options, and you have to select the correct option from the given choice, and the correct answer is students, as student has to create the reference material before exams, so the workload of the students increase when we are talking about the open book exam. Now the seventh one, open book exams allow you to take notes, test or resource material into a dash situation. Means open book exam is allowing you to take along with them your test books, your notebook or resource material into a what situation. Options are A, exam, B, hall, C, playground, or the D, class. So the correct answer is option A, that is to exam situations, means students are allowed to take notes, test, reference resource materials into an exam situation. Now, eighth one, a dash exam places a premiere on accurate and extensive recall, means accurately recalling the information, and its assessment of student knowledge is likely to be dominated by that ability. And what is that ability? How well you are able to recognize and recall that information. Now the options are A, closed book exam, B, open book exam, C, the entrance exam, or the D, annual exam. So you have to select the correct answer from the given choices, and the correct answer is option A, that is closed book. Now closed books are exam are those exams that are giving importance that how you accurately and extensively recall the information that you already have. Now, open book examination was first introduced in Dash in 1935 to test students' mastery of knowledge on how well they are able to apply theories to new information. In which country that open book examination was firstly introduced? Now, the options are A, Hong Kong, B, London, C, America, or the D, it's India. So you have to select the correct answer from the given choices, and the correct answer is option A, that is Hong Kong. Now the 10th one. Questions in dash need to be diverse to assess the interpretation, means the assessment of interpretation related to any question, application of knowledge, how well you are able to apply that knowledge, comprehension skill, means the understanding level of your skills, and critically thinking, how well you are able to critically look at a thing and your critical thinking skills. Now, questions in that options are A. Open book exam, B. Closed exam, C. Semester exam, or the D. It's an annual exam. These are the options, and you have to select the correct answer. And the correct answer is option A, that is open book exam. Assess how you are interpreting the information, how you are applying the information, how much you have understand, and critical thinking skills of the learner. Now, thank you, students. Thanks for patience listening. From today's narration, you understand that this is the concept of open book exam, how the open book exam is different from the closed book exam. These are nature of the closed book exam. What are the different types of open book exam, different forms of open book exam, and we are saying that there are two forms of open book exam. Then misconceptions about the open book exam, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the open book exam. Now, in the next class or in the next lecture, we will study about the entrance exam. So thank you, students. Thank you so much.